Welcome to the MBL Rookie Draft. Today we'll see teams select franchise players who will forever change the culture of the team while having immediate success. While some teams will weigh risk versus reward, banking on a player's potential to develop. Some players will go on to be champions, Hall of Famers. Even though they were drafted in later rounds, their success won't be denied. You are witnessing the leader in full immersion gaming, the Madden Bomber League. So join our journey today. Go to 365.maddenbomberleague.com and take your chance to become a legend and forever be remembered like Lucky Jordan, Asa Sharar, because legends never die. And you're watching the MBL Network.
"32 teams, hopes and dreams for a Super Bowl in the MBL start today, folks. A big day here in the MBL. It's the season 24 rookie draft. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm OSU, and I got a great staff with me today. Our MBL insider, Sonny Weaver, is joining us, as well as our Blitz contributor and MBL draft expert, Doughboy's hanging out with us as we'll go through the entire first round of the season 24 MBL rookie draft with pick-by-pick analysis. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us as we get going. All right, before we get started, let's go over to Sonny Weaver, our insider. Sonny, big day for all these teams here in the MBL. Give me some storylines you're looking at, maybe some risers and fallers here in the season 24 rookie draft.
Well, let's start out with two risers. My first one, defensive tackle Darren Pacinger, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. A lot of talk about this guy. Top 10 talent is what I'm hearing from teams. 3 teams to be exact in the top 10. Feel like if they got that man at number or in the top 10, they would be happy campers. Another interesting thing to look at is going to be quarterbacks. I've heard a lot of chatter in the last 24 hours that we could see 2 quarterbacks in what many have considered a weak quarterback class go in the top 16, not just the first round, but the top 16. So watch the quarterbacks in this draft. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
And as we get going, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. They are our number 1 pick this year, season 24 rookie draft. Let's throw it over to our draft expert. That is Doughboy Doe. The Ravens at number 1, the big story coming out of Baltimore. Joe Flacco's time at the helm is gone. You got to think quarterback is one of the needs that they have. Also hearing that they may have some needs on the defensive side of the ball, namely at cornerback. You did a mock draft on the MBL Blitz podcast. If you haven't checked that out, head over to the MBL Network YouTube page. They did that yesterday. JYTFA, Doe, and Gub. It was a great show. You don't want to miss that one. So go over and check that out after this draft, of course. But, Doe, what are you hearing out of Baltimore? Where do you think they're going?
Yeah, speaking with CMF earlier, he was telling me that he's really keen on creating one of the best corner duos in the league. And I have a feeling that he's going to use the first pick on a corner, most likely Aaron Callaway. He's the best one. I know there's a lot of hype on Nick McKay, but Callaway's better defensive coverage, zone, and man. And I really think that if his draft board works out, he wants to be able to get a quarterback in the second round, as he's the first pick in the second round as well. So let's see what he does here.
Yes, absolutely. As we await the number 1 pick, the pick is into the commissioner, and it looks like, Doughboy, you were right on. They are going cornerback. They're going with Aaron Callaway out of Notre Dame. We've got a video on him coming up, some highlights from college. But first, let's throw it over to Sonny Weaver. Sonny, Aaron Callaway, he's a guy that a lot of people debated as to whether he was number 1 pick worthy. We know the Ravens were high on them. What do you think about Callaway? What were you hearing leading up to that number 1 pick?
A lot of questions on whether the number 1 quarterback or cornerback was going to be Callaway or McKay. I talked to a couple teams in the last 24 hours that felt like it was a toss-up. Some felt that McKay was better ready to start right away, but Callaway may have better upside. And talking to the Ravens leading into the draft, they felt like Troy Kenny is the lockdown corner on one side, but they needed someone on the other side. When asked about pass rushing, maybe helping them out, they just didn't feel like there was a pass rusher available at number 1 that would help them this draft.
Aaron Callaway is the pick, and let's show you a highlight video our producer Delvar is pulling up. This is Aaron Callaway out of Notre Dame. Let's see what he's going to be bringing to Baltimore. Another one of the top rookies we have in the NBL Season 24 rookie draft is Aaron Callaway out of Notre Dame. 6'1", 202, and this dude is the definition of a deep ball cornerback. He is so good. He's going to go up and take this ball away. Here's another example of that deep ball cover skills. This one, he's playing more of the center field role, but he locates the ball. He intercepts it. And then not only that, he has the wherewithal to take it back upfield. Too many corners will take that ball, maybe just run out of bounds, but he gets his offense some extra yards as he returns this one. And he's so good at locating the ball while still playing the receiver. Look at him look back, find the ball, and go to it without losing track of the receiver. Too many corners don't look back and find that ball. They just try to face guard. Here, he finds the ball. He gets the interception. That is huge. Now, not only is he a great cover cornerback, he's a big hitter. Look at him on the blitz. Boom! Taking down the quarterback and forcing the fumble. You can bring him off the edge on a blitz. He is a hard hitter, and he's a sure tackler, and that's something that's really important. Look at this here. Little hitch route to the outside, and he's able to bring down the big tight end short of the first down line. Here's another example. Look at him playing in the middle and taking down the running back. Here's an example of him on special teams. He's such a sure tackle. They put him in on special teams, and he is so good inside, outside. Look at him in the back of the end zone doing the little things right. He didn't have to go for that interception. He just batted it down. Aaron Callaway, season 24 rookie draft. What a player coming out of Notre Dame. I know folks in Baltimore are going to be happy to have him coming out number one and heading over to the AFC North. Let's go to our number 2 pick, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of the NFC South. Big losses in the offseason for these guys. This is always a team that goes through a lot of changes in the offseason. Owner J.Y. likes to be a player in free agency. No more Gerald McCoy. No more Will Golson. No more Benny Benaquier. They added some players, namely Le'Veon Bell, coming to Tampa Bay, going from Pittsburgh down to the South. Definitely better weather down there. Doughboy, what are you hearing out of Tampa? Where are they going with this number 2 pick?
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion with Tampa Bay, and they just pulled in Le'Veon Bell, as you mentioned. They tried to improve the guard, and I know they're looking at the tackle spot in this draft, but I don't see the value at pick 2. If they go tackle, I think Mckelvin is a solid pick there, but I think that the coach is going to end up going corner. I think Nick McKay, I think we go 1-2, 2 corners off the draft board. There's just not enough value at left tackle in this draft, and I know they're interested in pass rushers, and this is a very weak pass rushing draft, so I think they're going to go corner. I think that the better side of them is going to come out, but you never know with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And we will see indeed as the pick is into the commissioner as we await the number 2 selection coming in. Doughboy again saying that they number 1, number 2 might go corner. We've seen that in past MBL rookie drafts. For sure, we will see if Tampa Bay can help in that very tough NFC South. They got to contend with the defending Super Bowl champion Atlanta Falcons. As the pick is in, they do go pass rusher. They go defensive tackle, Pacinger. This was a guy, Sonny brought him up in the pre-draft about how this guy might be going early. What do you think of the pick, and what are you hearing out of Tampa of why they decided to go with a big defensive tackle?
So as I mentioned before, we had heard from a lot of guys in the top 10 that Pacinger was a guy many liked. I know the Combine really opened some eyes for this guy. Not much of a reach here because I know for a fact he would not have fallen out of the top 10. I do know that the organization was split at the top. The coach won the left tackle, Mckelvin. Ownership won Pacinger. They spent the afternoon talking the coaching staff into it. And in the end, ownership wins and Pacinger to Tampa Bay.
We do have a highlight video for Pacinger coming out of the SEC, coming out of Ole Miss. He's going to be a big guy down in the NFC South. Doesn't have to go too far away, just heading down to Tampa. As Delvar pulls up that video, let's take a closer look at this big defensive tackle that's heading down to the NFC South. All right, let's take a look at one of the big hosses here in the rookie draft. It's Darren Pacinger out of Ole Miss, 6'3", 300 pounds. This dude is a hard hitter, and you will notice that immediately. Whoever gets him is getting a guy who's willing to lay the lumber. Look at him taking out quarterbacks left and right. He's so quick off the block as well. So he is a handful to deal with in the middle of that defense. You play SEC football, you got to be athletic, you got to be a hard hitter, and Pacinger is for sure that. He's a guy who just has a knack for getting after the quarterback. Look at him here taking down the quarterback in the backfield. He uses his athleticism to get off the block. Here's another example. He's just got a nose for quarterbacks. So if you're a quarterback in the NBL, look out for this guy. He is tough. Now, he's also a guy who can be a run stopper in the middle of the defense. You know, at a defensive tackle, you got to have a guy who can stop the run. Look at him here. As the quarterback takes the read option, and he is there right away. Here's another handoff to the running back up the middle. Look at him make the tackle. Even after fighting off of a chop block, he has so many techniques. He's so versatile, and he is so good. Big guy going down to the NFC South. Won't be far from home. We'll see what sort of impact he has as the Buccaneers spend the number 2 pick on Pacinger. and the big defensive tackle. All right, let's head out west for the number 3 pick is the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, disappointing season last season, only 4 wins on the year. There's a team that definitely wants to improve in the AFC West that most consider one of the tougher divisions. Doughboy, this is a Broncos team that lost Chris Harris, was sort of their big loss in the offseason. They did bring in some nice pieces. Dontari Poe might be a game changer for them. They also brought in Jamison Crowder to help on the offensive side of the ball. So they did bring in pieces on both sides. What are you hearing out of the Mile High City? Where do you think the Broncos are going with this number 2 pick?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Broncos are very shocked about the Tampa Bay pick. They were prepared probably to take a wide receiver if Nick McKay came off the board, and now they have to go back because I know they value McKay very high. And with the Buccaneers shocking taking the defensive tackle with number 2, I think the Broncos are going to go back to the table, and we might see Nick McKay. We might see a wide receiver come off the board. The Broncos, they're in panic mode, but it's a good panic. They got the pick of the litter right here.
As the pick is into the commissioner, we'll get that to you. The Broncos also have a pick at number 6, so 2 top 10 picks. Sonny Weaver, let me bring you in here quickly. What does that do for an organization having 2 picks in the top 10? How important is that?
Well, it lets you reshape your franchise. Obviously, you expect to get real talent in the top 10, immediate starters, and obviously you've got the Broncos with 2 picks in the top 10 along with the Seahawks. So 2 franchises can make a big splash here in the first round.
We'll see where the Broncos go with the first of their top 10 picks, and it is indeed Nick McKay, the cornerback, coming into the Mile High City. Sonny, we expected the corners to be going early. We knew how talented Callaway and McKay were. What does McKay bring to the Mile High City, and what did the organization see out of this kid?
Well, McKay is a day 1 ready starter on the outside. They lost Chris Harris. They were concerned about that. They didn't think he was going to fall to him. They did believe that the Bucs were going to take him, and they had a fallback plan. But I'll tell you right now, that war room is ecstatic. They thought McKay was the best corner in this draft compared to Callaway. They thought he had the better feet, the better technique, and they thought he was going to start day 1. So I can tell you right now, the Broncos are happy.
Broncos going defense at number 3. They do have another pick at number 6, so we'll see where they go, but let's head over to the number 4 pick, and it's out west again. It's in that NFC West. It is the Seattle Seahawks. Doughboy, this is a team. I mean, the big loss, Joe Thomas, he came over from Cleveland and started for the Seattle Seahawks, brought in a big stabilizing force in that offensive line. He is gone, but they brought in Kelechi Osemele, they brought in Marcel Darius, they brought in Joel Bitonio, another former Brown. They're really going big in the trenches. Where are you hearing the Seahawks going at number 4?
Yeah, I know that they've talked about switching to 3-4. You got Tacoy Bacon. He doesn't like taco. He's a solid defensive end. I think Bingham, the safety, can replace Earl Thomas. Iran Lin, the corner. They got the next 2 picks. You might see wide receiver Virgil or Patrick Amy come off the board. But I know Playa has plenty of options, and with the 2 picks back-to-back, there's a lot of scenarios that could play out. Really good value here.
And let's see where they go with their first pick here at number 4. The pick is into the commissioner, as they also do have that number 5 pick, a rarity having back-to-back picks in the top 5. We saw it in years past, namely the Atlanta Falcons had it, I believe, in the season 23 draft, or excuse me, the 22 draft. They had 3 picks in the top 12. They had 2 in the top 5. And we'll see if the Seattle Seahawks, a team that I'll point out that on the Super Bowl broadcast, we did our MBL Live halftime awards, and if you haven't checked out the Super Bowl broadcast, it is a great one if I do say so myself. Go ahead and check that out on the MBL Network YouTube page. Bomber said that the Seahawks were sort of the team to watch coming up, and they go defensive line. They go with Bacon. Everybody loves Bacon. The Seattle Seahawks love Bacon. Sonny Weaver, how much do you love Bacon? How much are the Seattle Seahawks happy with this pick?
Well, not just me, but a lot of teams in NBL loved them some Bacon. I heard from many teams across the board that they thought Bacon, while he was classified as a 3-4 end, easily translated into a 4-3 end, very similar to J.J. Watt, a big physical end that's going to be a little heavier than most 4-3 ends, but they feel like he's going to be able to power move up the middle and really create havoc. So watch for the Seahawks here. What I heard was this was going to be a defensive draft, so watch for them to go back-to-back defense coming up.
And again, we do have the Seattle Seahawks here at number 5. Let me throw it quickly over to Doughboy. You called Bacon as one of their picks. Remind us, who do you think they're going with the second pick? You think Seattle's pretty happy getting their choice at right end? Are they going to go defense like Sonny Weaver suggests?
Yeah, this is the start of the 3-4 transition. Bacon's going to be a plug-in 3-4 end, and I think you're going to either see the replacement for Earl Thomas come in safety with Bingham or Iran Lin, the corner out of Penn State. Both are an option. They're going to solidify the defense, and it's going to be an exciting time. Get Legion of Boom 2.0 coming.
The pick is into the commissioner. That runner just had to run back to the desk, grab the pick, send it back up to the commissioner. So the pick is in. We'll see where the Seahawks go with his number 5 overall pick as we are hustling through the season 24 rookie draft. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. I'm your host, OSU, and I'm hanging out with our MBL insider, Sonny Weaver, and our draft expert, Doughboy. As the pick is in, and they go wide receiver, they go Virgil. Sonny, they don't go defensive. They go on the offensive side of the ball, looking to help out Cam Newton in that Seattle offense. What do you think of the pick? Why did the Seahawks not go defense with their second pick?
Well, there had been some talks that there was a possibility that wide receiver was an option, very similar to what happened in Tampa Bay. It was a split front office. One side wanted to go defense, another wanted to go offense. It looks like they made a little bit of a compromise there. They go with the wide receiver, Virgil. They really like this guy, but they're concerned about his durability. They're not sure he can hold up to an NFL schedule. That's something we're going to have to watch and see.
All right, and we go to another team that already had a pick here in the top 6. It is the Denver Broncos with their second pick of the top 6. At Doughboy, we've seen 2 more players come off the board in Bacon and Virgil. Where do you think the Broncos are going? Did they lose anybody who might have been on their draft board, and where do you think they're going with this 6th pick?
Yeah, I think Virgil was a hit. They definitely liked him to pair next to Whitlock. Des Bryant is probably his last year in the Broncos uniform. So I see them targeting wide receiver here. Crockett, Amy, Quintazzy Lawson, Centarius Casein. This draft is very deep in wide receiver, but Crockett or Amy, I think, are going to come off the board right here. It's going to bolster the Broncos' offense. They're going to get defense and offense in the same draft, and it's going to be successful just like this we saw the Seahawks do in the top 6 picks. One player defense, one player on offense.
And let's see where they do indeed go as the pick is into the commissioner. We'll see who else is going to join McKay out in the Mile High City, whether it's a partner on the defensive side of the ball or the Broncos decide to go offensive side of the ball with this pick at number 6 as we work through the first round. Again, we'll cover all of the first round picks, all 32 of them, with pick-by-pick analysis with our esteemed panel of experts here on the MBL Network. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us as the pick is in, and they go middle linebacker. They go to Tafoya, Sonny Weaver. They did not alternate defense to offense. They instead go defense to defense. They go with the middle linebacker. What do you think of the pick?
I believe that was the pick all along. I know they were excited to get the combination of guys back to back here that McKay and Tafoya. I knew it was going to be a defensive draft. What I can tell you about Tafoya is he really opened some eyes at the All-Star game when he won MVP. He's a top 5 talent. People believe that he can have the same impact that Kroom had last year for the Raiders. And after losing Brandon Marshall, the league leader in interceptions only a couple years ago, they needed to find a replacement for him, and they found him right there in Tafoya.
As we go to the number 7 overall pick, it is the Carolina Panthers, another NFC South team here in the top 10. Doughboy, 2 big losses for the Carolina Panthers this year. It's the wide receivers. No more AJ Green. No more Mckelvin Benjamin. What are you hearing out of Carolina? Are they going wide receiver with this number 7 pick?
Well, if they're going to go wide receiver, there's still 2 top 10 caliber wide receivers on the draft board. So if the Panthers have the option, again, we talk about Crockett, we talk about Amy. Amy's 6'5" frame, pretty much grabs any ball that's thrown to him. If they're going to go on the defensive side, I see the Panthers bolstering the secondary. There's still a ton of good safeties. Iran Lin out of Penn State. But I believe the Panthers are going to go wide receiver here, bolster that passing game.
As the pick is into the commissioner, and it does look like they are going wide receiver. They're going with Patrick Amy out of Wisconsin. Sonny, with the loss of Benjamin and Green, you knew that they needed help on the offensive side of the ball. What do you think of this pick here at number 7?
Well, I think obviously that was something they had to address. Mckelvin Benjamin, AJ Green, 2 guys that used to be great, not so great anymore. Over the years, they've lost Devin Funches. They lost Philly Brown. They had to replenish that wide receiver core. They needed talent on the outside to give their young quarterback a chance. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if they come back around next one and maybe double up on wide receiver, but we'll have to see how the rest of this draft goes.
And let's look. We got some highlight videos for some of our past picks over the last 3. We've got 3 videos for you. We'll play one of them right now. We're going to look at Virgil, the wide receiver that the Seattle Seahawks took, a guy that's going to help them on the offensive side of the ball. Let's take a look at this kid who's going to be heading out to the West Coast as Delvar pulls that up. And looks like they're going to be helping Cam Newton and the Seattle Seahawks. Another wide receiver prospect we have in this season 24 NBL rookie draft is Delome Virgil out of Ohio State. 6'2", 191. This dude is versatile. And the one thing you'll notice in these clips early is look at his vision. Watch him go upfield, cut it inside, then back outside. He has quick feet, and that will help him out, but those quick feet also break into breakaway speed. Look at him pull away from the defenders right down the field for a touchdown. Now, you can line him up either way in this formation, and that's something that's going to be very helpful in the NBL. You can line him up outside as a wide receiver. He can take it out of the backfield like on this play. He is so versatile and can be a weapon. You can even put him on special teams. Look at him blocking the punt. And that's going to be huge for a team looking for a versatile playmaker in the MBL. This guy finds a way to get the ball no matter where you line him up, whether it's wide receiver, running back, special teams. Heck, he could probably play quarterback. Delome Virgil here in the NBL Season 24 draft. What a player going to Seattle, helping out Cam Newton at offense. We'll take a look at some of the other picks that have just gone by in just a little bit. But let's first go to the number 8 pick in this draft, and that is the Miami Dolphins. This is a Miami Dolphins team that, well, they lost in the offseason guys like Chris Jones, Reed Fragel, but the big addition for them on the offensive side of the ball, Rob Gronkowski, coming down to the Miami Dolphins. Doughboy, what are you hearing out of Miami? It seems like they got a huge offensive weapon in Gronkowski, but we know that they want to help out on the offensive side of the ball. Do you hear them going offense, or you think that the Dolphins are going to go more defensive side of the ball?
I think if the Dolphins picked up Gronkowski, they got the 1-year pro now at quarterback in Darby. They're looking for targets for him. They can go Crockett. They might pick up a running back here. You got Nick Bryan out of Tennessee. If they want to go defense, there's still corners, safeties, plenty of options. I think they wanted a pass rusher, but this might be a limited draft in that position. I think it's a little early for them. So I'm looking maybe Crockett or a safety, maybe Bingham going right here.
We'll see where they go as the pick is into the commissioner looking to help out the Miami Dolphins in that very tough AFC East division, a division that has been sort of the reign of the New York Jets for the last couple of seasons. Definitely want to see where they go with this pick with the young quarterback Darby as we await their pick coming in to the commissioner. The pick is in, and they do go. It looks like they're going on the defensive side of the ball. Sonny Weaver, they go free safety Bingham. It was a name that was brought up by Doughboy as a possible option. The Dolphins definitely want to get some help stopping the ball, namely stopping the pass. Sonny, what do you think of this pick for Miami? Seems like a guy who can help them on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, what I was hearing about the Miami Dolphins was it was going to be a front 7 draft, especially linebacker or defensive lineman. I'm surprised, really, with Hayward on the board there. They didn't go with him. They wanted to package him with Vic Beasley and Miles Jack, create one of the best 4-3 linebacking core. But something must have happened in the meantime as Bingham didn't appear to be in the plans. But yet, here he is, the pick at number 8.
The number 8 pick is Bingham for the Miami Dolphins. A guy who's definitely going to help this Dolphins defense as they try to stop those high-powered offenses over in the AFC East. Now, before we get to the number 9 pick, let's throw up another one of those highlight videos we have. Let's go over to the offensive side of the ball. Let's look at the number 7 pick, Amy out of Wisconsin. This is a big kid. This is a tall kid who's going to Carolina as Delvar pulls up that video. Let's take a look at the tall guy, the 6'5" wide receiver that's heading to the Carolina Panthers. One of the top receivers we got here in the Season 24 NBL rookie draft is Patrick Amy, 6'5", 231 out of Wisconsin. This dude is a big guy. He's got some soft hands for a guy that's that tall. Looking to make this catch, diving to the outside and bringing in the rocket from the quarterback. This is a guy who has to have some great hands, as you know. At 6'5", he's going to be getting some balls tossed up to him in the end zone. Now, he's not just having great hands, not just big. He's a great route runner. Look at him here, cutting inside and losing the defender, cutting back outside and making the tough catch on the sidelines. Here's another example on the little sit route. Look at that, in between 2 defenders, knows right where to go and right where to make the catch. On top of that, he can make the tough catch. Look at him here in the middle of the field, taking the huge hit, but still bringing in the ball. And again, showing off that route running and that speed. And the speed is what we are going to get to. Man, this guy is 6'5". He's such long legs. He is able to get past defenders. Hear him, look at that! Shaking off defenders left and right, making the tough catch, turning a ball that looked like it was going to be stopped behind the line of scrimmage, going right over the defender, keeping his balance at 6'5", got great balance, and able to get downfield. But here's that breakaway speed. Look at him over the top, making the tough catch, beating the defender downfield. Here's just yet another example. Patrick Amy is going to be great for whoever drafts him here in Season 24. The burner! As he goes downfield. 6'4", 231. Big guy, big speed, big hands, big player. What a player going to Carolina. We'll see how he can help them in that NFC South and help out the young quarterback Aragoose for the Carolina Panthers. All right, let's go to the number 9 pick. We're looking at the New York Giants, an NFC East team in what is probably the toughest division here in the MBL. Losses in the offseason. There's no more Jason Pierre-Paul, no more Olivier Vernon, but they brought in a little guy by the name of J.J. Watt to play on that defensive line. Doughboy, knowing that, where do you think the New York Giants should go with this one? Seems like they've really solidified that defensive line after picking up J.J. Watt.
Yeah, I think with the J.J. Watt pickup, the defensive line is pretty solidified. I know they had interest in Pacinger, get the pass rushing defensive tackle. I think they're staying on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to get the signal call in the middle. I think we're going to see Hayward come off the board, the second middle linebacker. Great value there. If not, possibly a safety, but they need somebody that's going to be calling the plays for years to come on the Giants defense.
Let's see where they do go as the pick is into the commissioner. We will wait to hear that one. Sonny Weaver, going back to the New York Giants, man, how tough is it to win in that NFC East division? Seems like no matter who they pick, it's going to be a tough go in that division.
Well, definitely. I think they were a little, upset last year. There were some things not happening for him. Olivier Vernon was the only person getting any sort of pressure for that defense. They bring in J.J. Watt after losing Vernon. I'm not sure they've made an upgrade there yet, so they got to find some way to get to the quarterback.
And the pick, it looks like it is in, and we are hearing that it is going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Indeed, it is middle linebacker Hayward coming off the board. Sonny, as Doughboy brought up, he thought they should definitely go with that middle linebacker, somebody to lead that defense, call the plays, call the audibles, and this is a guy who can certainly do that.
Well, let me tell you, coming into the draft, they were definitely looking defense. Nick McKay and Pacinger were the two guys that I believe were going to be the pick here. Neither of them fell to them. But at that said, they got the consensus second middle linebacker in the draft in Hayward, and I know they're happy about that pick.
That is a great pick indeed for the New York Giants as they look to continue to stop the ball in that NFC East division. So many high-powered offenses. Let's see if he's a guy who can bring a little bit of meat to the middle of that defense. All right, we go to the number 10 pick, and that's the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, the Packers' big loss in the offseason, we already talked about him going to Miami. It was Rob Gronkowski. No more on that offensive side of the ball. A guy who many have said he was underutilized by the young quarterback Ripkowski. Ripkowski not throwing to Gronkowski too much. They brought in Travis Kelce. They also brought in Greg Robinson. Let's throw it over to Doughboy, our draft expert. Where do you think the Green Bay Packers should go if they're looking to compete here in the NFC North?
Yeah, I know the wide receivers are getting a little up there in age, and you still got Crockett on the board. He'd be great value for the Packers, bring some youth to that wide receiver core. I think offensive line might come off the board. You got Mckelvin, you got the guard, Rashad, and there's a few other players on the offensive line that they could be interested in. One of the sneaky picks could be Connor Sundberg, left tackle who had a great combine. Gubb was really high on him. If they want to go offensive line, you're going to see plenty of choices for them, but I believe that Crockett's going to be the number one choice.
And let's see where they do go. If they do go Crockett as the pick is into the commissioner. Sonny, this is a team that you've talked to ownership. What are they thinking about Ripkowski, the young quarterback? He struggled in his first season. Do they still have a lot of confidence in this guy?
Ownership feels like Ripkowski is still the franchise quarterback. Some early struggles reminiscent of Peyton Manning to an extent. They feel like there's a chance there, but they feel like he needs more protection to be successful. As
the pick is in, and it looks like they're going to shore up that offensive line, It is the left tackle Mckelvin. The Green Bay Packers looking to protect the young quarterback Ripkowski. Before I throw it to, I think we got a special guest coming into the MBL Live. Let me throw it over to Sonny Weaver. What do the Green Bay Packers like about this pick?
Well, they felt like Mckelvin gave him the best chance to protect the blind side of Ripkowski. They felt like a lot of the interceptions last year were hurried. Ripkowski not feeling comfortable in that pocket, so he felt like he needed to get some protection on the blind side and really help him out.
All right, and let's throw it over to our special guest. I think you guys might have heard of him before. It's the MBL commissioner. It's the owner of the Detroit Lions. It is the king himself. It is Bomber joining us here on the MBL Season 24 draft. First of all, Bomber, welcome into the draft show. What do you think of what you've seen out of the top 10 so far?
Oh, baby, I like what I'm seeing, but they missed out on one guy. There's one wide receiver in here that's a big-time playmaker from Wisconsin, and Doughboy touched on him that Green Bay should have took at number 10. Now he fell to Philly, and I expect my Philadelphia Eagles to be selecting this wide receiver at pick number 11 in MBL season draft number 24.
Now tell me about this, Bomber. You've been in the MBL, I would say probably about as long as anybody. What does draft day bring to an owner? I know there are a lot of teams out there. We got a lot of new owners here in the MBL. Might be going through their first rookie draft here in season 24. What are sort of the emotions going through the mind of an owner?
Well, let me tell you what draft day brings to the MBL. It brings hope, and I always say hope is a dangerous drug. You see teams moving up trying to catch a guy. It was Green Bay last year. They went after Ripkowski. They moved up to get him. He had the strongest arm in the draft. His throw power was unlike anything we've seen, and they moved up to get him, and they didn't get the results that they wanted with Gronkowski. Now Gronkowski's out, so it brings a lot of hope, and it makes you do things that are a little uncharacteristic of your play style to try to get what you want, and sometimes it backfires, and sometimes it pays out, and that's the beauty of the draft. You take the risks, and you reap the rewards later, or you reap what you sow, and you end up paying for it later when you go and make a risk and jump out ahead of yourself.
All right, now before I let you go, let's look at that number 11 pick. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. You mentioned the young wide receiver Crockett out of Wisconsin still on the board. This is a team that they lost Jordan Matthews in the offseason. They lost Tevin Coleman. They brought in Navarro Bowman in the middle of that defense, but a big need for Philadelphia is a wide receiver weapon. Do you think Crockett is the choice here for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Let's talk a little bit about Philly. They finished 11-5 last year. Their passing attack was ranked 13th. Carson Wentz, arguably his best numbers in the NBL in the last 5 seasons. This guy is ready and primed to take the next step. Their number 1 wide receiver right now, Lavari Samuel. This guy's got speed. He's a speed demon, but he's undersized. They've been looking to pair him up with a guy that's got some size. 6'1", Von the Rocket Crockett is the guy from Wisconsin. I expect them 100% to go with this wide receiver. This guy can do it all, and pairing him next to Lavari Samuel will be beautiful. You get a little bit of speed, and you get some solid route running and size. Everything that Carson Wentz has dreamed of since he became an Eagle and was drafted by them, he'll have now at the wide receiver position.
As we await the pick as it goes into the commissioner, we appreciate Bomber joining us here on the NBL Season 24 Rookie Draft broadcast. Sonny, what are you hearing from teams? Why are you surprised that Crockett is still on the board this late at number 11?
Well, I don't know that that's a surprise. I think what a lot of people felt like was this draft was deep at wide receiver, and they felt like maybe they could pick one up later in this draft, even on the late first, early second. Obviously, I think a run on wide receivers coming soon. I know a lot of teams are excited to try to get in on some of these wide receivers. I expect the wide receivers to dry up early in the 20s.
And the pick is in, and Bomber had it right on the nose. It is Von Crockett out of Wisconsin, the wide receiver heading out to Philly. Sonny, you've seen this player sort of before the draft and his pre-draft workouts. You've talked to owners. What do the Philadelphia Eagles think they're getting out of this kid?
Well, they think they get a wide receiver that can come and play day one. He doesn't have to be their number 1 to start. They do have other options there, but he's going to be given a chance to work his way and take that number 1 spot. Most guys on that coaching staff believe that will happen before the end of the year.
What a pick indeed. The wide receiver falls into the lap of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they take that one in stride. They pick up the wide receiver, Crockett. All right, let's head over to the AFC North. It is the Cleveland Browns with the number 12 pick. The Browns improved this season, and in the offseason, not a lot of action out of Cleveland. Maybe the biggest name that has gone is Terrell Pryor. They brought in Greg the Leg Zuerlein at kicker, but that's sort of all they did. We know that the Browns have needs on the defensive side of the ball. Doughboy, where do you think Cleveland should go here with this number 12 pick?
Yeah, I know Cleveland wasn't quite sure. They had the 6 picks and traded back. That shows that they did not have a single player they valued for that pick. I think the Browns are going to go defense. I think they're going to pick up a safety that can cover the field. I know they were looking at the safety that shot up with the 4.39 40-yard dash, and he would be a great value for them. And if not, if they go offense, there's still some wide receivers on the board that have great value. Quintezi Lawson is a name I've been hearing a lot. A lot of players have keyed him in, and he can make plays on the offensive side. So look for Lawson to possibly go here.
As we await the pick as it is into the commissioner here at number 12, we want to give everybody a reminder, head over to Twitter, give us a follow over at Bomber League. That's where you can find out the news and notes from around the MBL, as well as game times and the schedule for our upcoming MBL Live. That'll be released in the next week as we get running towards season 24. We're almost at broadcast number 100 on MBL Live, and you're not going to want to miss any of the broadcasts coming up. So head over to at Bomber League, give us a follow over there, as it looks like the pick is in. The commissioner coming to the podium, and it looks like the Cleveland Browns are going defensive side of the ball. They go the strong safety Favors. Sonny, you've been in the ear of the Cleveland Browns. You've heard what they've been talking about up to the draft. What do they like about this kid, and why are they going defensive side of the ball, namely safety, as opposed to maybe picking up one of the cornerbacks on the board?
Well, they were the 29th rated scoring defense last year. They're the 25th rated in passing defense. When I talked to the front office and the coaching staff, all I heard was this is going to be a defensive draft, and that's what they did. One of the things they pointed out was obviously strong safety was somewhere they felt like they needed help. They didn't name names. I personally thought it would be Woodard, the other strong safety that I've heard a lot about in this draft. Instead, they choose to go with Favors. I believe it was more of a pick your choice type of situation. They had them both rated very highly. They come out with Favors in this one.
Charleston Favors, the young, strong safety out of Michigan State University, going out to the Cleveland Browns as we get to the number 13 overall pick. That actually is the Arizona Cardinals. Heading out to the NFC West. Doughboy, let's bring it back in. This is an Arizona Cardinals team that was pretty active in the offseason, losing out. They let Josh Sitton go. They let Whitney Mercilus go, but they brought in a big guy in Geno Atkins, getting up there in age, but looking to shore up that defensive line. We've heard they have needs definitely in the secondary. Where do you think the Arizona Cardinals should go with this pick?
Yeah, I think the board is breaking in the direction. I think Iran Lin out of Penn State is the best value right here at corner. He's a shutdown guy. He can replace Patrick Peterson right away, and I think they're going to jump right on him and draft Iran Lin. There's no really other player that's comparing to him on my board, so I would go Iran Lin out of Penn State and replace Patrick Peterson right away.
That is a guy who can't replace him as the pick is into the commissioner, and we await the announcement on the Arizona Cardinals pick here at number 13. We are working our way through all 32 picks here in the season 24 rookie draft here on the MBL Network, and we appreciate everyone hanging out with us. I'm your host, OSU, and I'm hanging out, of course, with our NFL insider, Sonny Weaver, and our draft expert, Doughboy. Big shout out to our producer behind the scenes, Delvar, getting us up and running and putting on this great show for you as the pick is in, and Doughboy was right on the money. It is the cornerback. It is Iran Lin out of Penn State. We do have a highlight package video on him out of college. Before we get there, let's throw it over to our insider, Sonny Weaver. This was a guy that was, I think, I heard high on a lot of people's boards. He fell to the Cardinals at number 13. Is that surprising? And how happy are the Cardinals that they got their cornerback to replace Patrick Peterson?
I believe the Cardinals are happy with this one. Iran Lin, a lot of teams had some concerns over his speed. Would he be able to play on the outside, or was he more of a slot cornerback? I believe the Cardinals think he can play on the outside, and they're going to need him to play right away with the 30th rated pass defense last year, and that was with Patrick Peterson. They're going to need some quick improvements right away, and coaching staff feels that that's going to be Iran Lin.
Iran Lin out of Penn State, as we got a highlight video of him coming out of the Big Ten, coming out of Penn State, as our producer Delvar pulls up that video. Let's take a look at the young corner looking to show off his skills out in the NFC West for the Arizona Cardinals. Another top corner we have here in the season 24 NBL rookie draft is Iran Lin out of Penn State. 5'10", 204. This dude is athletic. Look at him get over, get his foot in bounds, and get the interception. Here's another great example of his athleticism here against Syracuse. Look at him get in great position and get up to the high point and bat that ball away. Let's watch that again. I can watch this over and over, getting up there and batting that ball away. He may be undersized, but he's not under-athletic. He's so good at reading the quarterback here. Look at this. It's a quick slant. Look at him jump the route, get his hand in there, and make sure the receiver had nowhere to go. Here's another example of reading the quarterback. Watch this deep drop back, looking for the deep ball. Look at him recover with that athleticism and get his hand in there. Now, he's also a guy who can play really effectively inside the red zone. Here he is. Look at this great tackle down short of the line. He's a hard hitter, and he is a great cover corner as well. Maybe a little underrated. Watch him here in the red zone once again as Iran Lin is able to watch the quarterback size, get there, and get his hand in there. Make sure the receiver doesn't get the touchdown. Iran Lin is going to be great for whoever decides to take a shot at him in the season 24 MBL rookie draft. What a player going out to Arizona, the young cornerback looking to replace the very, very good Patrick Peterson. No doubt it's going to be big shoes to fill, but we'll see what he can do out in Arizona. All right, at number 14, we have another team picking for the second time in the top 15. It is the New York Giants. The Giants, of course, went with middle linebacker at number 9. They went with Hayward. Doughboy, they have a second pick in the top 15, an advantage that so many teams wish they could have here in the NBL rookie draft. Where do you think the New York Giants should go with this second pick in the top 15?
Yeah, I think the defense, they're going to go back-to-back defensive players. I think Ace Schulte, the left end, get an edge rusher. Might be a possibility here. He's a value pick. Jimmy Barlow, I believe the corner, would solidify that. They'd have a trifecta there with Eli Apple and Hamlin coming up big last season, developed really well. And I think Barlow or Schulte are going to come off the board here.
Doughboy saying the New York Giants should go defense again as the pick is into the commissioner and we await their pick. Let me throw it over to Sonny Weaver, our MBL insider. What do you think in terms of draft strategy, the option of when you have two picks, going offense, defense, or maybe going both sides, both on one side of the ball? Do you think there is an advantage either way, or is it just based on what holes you have?
Well, it's oftentimes based on the holes you have. I think this New York Giants defense has some serious issues. I believe, like Doe said, they will stay on the defensive side of the ball and draft someone else to help bolster that defense.
New York Giants defense, again, playing in that NFC East. Such a brutal division to play in. Always teams in that division, not only over 500, but usually the wild card teams coming out of that division. As the pick, it looks like it is coming in to the commissioner, and we're hearing that it is a cornerback. They do go defensive side of the ball. They go with Poteet, the defensive back, the cornerback. Interesting pick, Sonny Weaver. They go cornerback. They do go defense. So, interesting pick for them. We know they need help on the defensive side of the ball. And the guy who's, I know that so many people are going to mistake his last name for Potato. It is not. He's looking to come in and help that defense. What are you hearing out in New York?
Well, we talked about it with their first pick. Obviously, they wanted Pacinger or McKay. Neither of those guys failed. They took the next best guy on their board in Hayward. Now, coming back around here at 14, they saw a cornerback they liked in Poteet. He isn't quite Nick McKay. I'm not sure he's got that day one starting ability, but the coaching staff's high on him. They think he could come in eventually this year and be a pretty good corner year one, but eventually down the line become a shutdown corner.
So is this a pick for the New York Giants that is more of a look towards the future? I know there were a lot of cornerbacks on the draft boards that people viewed higher than this kid. Was this maybe a little bit of a reach, or is this just looking towards the future?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think obviously you have the 24th rated pass defense. You got to fix some things now. They felt like McKay had better upside than some of the other corners on the board right now. Or excuse me, Poteet had better upside than some of the other corners on the board right now, and that's why they went with them here at number 14.
We go over to the number 15 pick. Let's go to the AFC side of the ball. It is the New England Patriots, much improved from the year before, 7-8-1 on the year, challenged for a playoff spot up until the last couple weeks. Doughboy, where do you hear the New England Patriots, or where do you think the New England Patriots should go with this pick, sort of in the middle of the pack at number 15?
Yeah, I think last year they brought in a new quarterback and a new wide receiver, and I think here you're going to see the offensive tackle come off the board. You got Kevin Kunalak. You have the kid that's moving up the pick from what Gubb was saying yesterday, Soonberg. Look for him to be a surprise pick right here. Possibly a guard, maybe Brennan. But they're going to put some support for the quarterback, and hopefully he can get the ball downfield.
Let's see where they do go as they're looking to improve upon their last year's record, look to challenge for that playoff spot as the pick is into the commissioner, and we await to hear what that is. The New England Patriots looking to challenge in that AFC East, and they do go offensive side of the ball. Interesting, the first running back coming off the board. It is Hobart going to New England, looking to help out that New England offense, trying to bring a little explosiveness to the offensive side of the ball. Sonny Weaver, first halfback off the board. What do you think of this kid? What did New England like in him?
Honestly, this is the first head scratcher of the draft. Like normal, New England's war room is quite closed off. Wasn't getting a great feel out of there about who they were going with. What's surprising about them going with Hobart is they have McKnight, and McKnight is a very successful running back. He's shown that he can, in fact, carry the workload. I don't know if they're looking to do more of a split back set or if they're just looking to split some carries and extend the longevity of these guys. But one thing you got to wonder is what's going on in New England right now.
What a pick for the New England Patriots at number 15. And let's go to the AFC South at number 16. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars coming into the season 24 rookie draft. And a lot of big names on that team are gone in the offseason. No more Allen Hurns. The two Allens are broken up. No more Geno Atkins. They did bring in Henry Williamson, Jameel Britton, sort of bit players who they hope to contribute. Doughboy, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they definitely need to replace Allen Hurns. They want wide receiver. They also have needs on the defensive side of the ball. Where do you think the Jaguars should go with this pick?
Yeah, I think the Jaguars are really happy with where they're at. They're going to go wide receiver. They want to replace Hurns. And you got a few different options here. I think right now they're just trying to figure out which one they like the best. You got Lawson, Easley. Then right after that, you still got Casein and Weber. Plenty of options here, but I believe that we're going to see a wide receiver come off the board for the Jaguars.
We will see where they go indeed as the pick is into the commissioner, and we await the announcement. The Jacksonville Jaguars looking to compete in that AFC South, a division that I know ownership feels like that they can compete in and be successful in. Sonny, we've seen a lot of wide receivers go off the boards here in the top 15. Is this a deep draft for the wide receivers, or are there just a lot of teams in the top half of the draft that need wide receivers?
Very deep draft as far as wide receivers go, and I know that the Jacksonville Jaguars were hoping one would fall to them, especially somebody built to run out of the slot. There's a lot of guys on the board right here that can all come in, make an immediate impact. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to stay quarterback. They feel like he needs a safety blanket out of the slot.
As the pick is into the Jacksonville Jaguars, it is a wide receiver looking to replace Allen Hurns. It is Lawson, the wide receiver, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sonny, this is a guy that I think sort of creeped up on the Jacksonville board after they saw so many wide receivers go in the top half, but a guy who might not have been there earlier in the draft. What do you think about this pick, and what does Jacksonville think about this kid they're bringing in?
Well, what they said was Keenan Allen was going to come in and run with Allen Robinson, but they were concerned about who could sit in the slot. They didn't feel like there was a guy in free agency that could come in and really provide a safety blanket they felt that Jimmy Garoppolo needed. So when looking through their draft board, they felt like Lawson provided the best opportunity to come in right away and provide that safety blanket. And when he fell to him there at number 16, they were quite happy to see him.
What a pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, looking to help on the offensive side of the ball, as they're looking to replace Allen Hurns. As we hit number 17, that is the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints do not have their first-round pick. They lost that due to a violation of league rules. So while we wait for the number 18 pick and the San Diego Chargers, let's throw up one of those promos, Delvar. We've got a lot of people asking questions about the MBL. What is going on here in the Bomber League? Can I get involved? What do you guys do? And I think we got a promo for that, Delvar, if I'm not mistaken. This is a great promo, and you guys can watch this one and find out what it's like to be a part of the Madden Bomber League. What a promo. We appreciate everyone watching this season 24 rookie draft. And as always, if you're interested in finding out more about joining the Madden Bomber League, joining the ranks of the MBL or our development league, The Grid, head over to our website. That's at 365.maddenbomberleague.com. Great website. You should definitely check it out. Tons of history on the MBL. We've got past MBL live rookie or players of the game. We've got lots of awards. Our Hall of Fame is on there, so you're going to want to go and check it out. All right, we're sitting here at number 17. The San Diego Chargers are going to be coming up at number 18. But before we get to them, let's talk about what's going on here in the first half of the draft. Let's bring in our commissioner. Bomber is joining us once again. Bomber, we're here. We're halfway through draft, little past halfway. Any surprises? What are your thoughts of these first 17 picks coming from everybody here in the MBL?
Well, when I first looked at this draft, I saw that the Seattle Seahawks had 2 picks in the top 5. Then I also looked and I saw that the Denver Broncos had 2 picks in the top 6. So I was interested to see what these 2 non-playoff teams from last year were going to do with these big picks coming up in this draft. And I like what Denver did. They went and solidified the defensive side of the ball. That's where they needed a lot of help. This team could not stop a nosebleed in NBL season 23. Their defense finished 27th OSU. They gave up 22 points per game, and their rush defense was 86.6 per game, which was 32nd in the NBL, dead last. They brought in who I thought was the best linebacker on the board, Tafoya. And this guy's going to be a stud at middle linebacker, and we all know who he's replacing. Brandon Marshall, the leading interception guy, single season in the NBL record books. He just got a little older in the tooth, and now they're going to bring in a new middle linebacker, and I think he's going to fill these shoes easily. This guy's a stud. And then they brought in cornerback McKay, and I think that's going to help him against the pass as well. And he also is a big corner that can get up there and help with the run as well. So I think he was a great pick at number 3. So right now I'm looking at this draft. I like what Seattle did. They brought in Takoy Bacon along with wide receiver Virgil. But I think the Broncos right now, they stole the show, man. I think they did great, and they buffed up that defense that was so horrendous in NBL season 23.
All right, let's start over to our NBL insider, Sonny Weaver, before we get to the Chargers pick. Sonny, you've been talking to teams around. You've been with all the owners and heard what they're thinking about. Is there anybody on the draft board that you might be surprised that is still there? Are there any risers and followers? We're sitting here at number 18. We're in the second half of the draft. Is there anybody that you're surprised is still there, or anybody that you're surprised was taken so high?
Well, I think the fact we already saw 2 safeties go, I believe Favors may have gone higher than most had predicted. I'm surprised Woodard's still sitting there. I think we're coming up in a territory where he may go soon. As far as other possibilities still sitting out there, I think easily the wide receiver could be coming off the board here soon, as well as look for a run on guards coming up here. I think the offensive line here in the late teens into the 20s is going to become a big factor.
All right, let's get to that number 18 pick. It is the San Diego Chargers. And Bomber, this is a team, they lost 2 big guys on the offensive side of the ball. No more Keenan Allen, no more A.J. Stanton. They bring in another young quarterback in Nick Doring, who was sort of thrown to the wayside in New England. He's going to get a chance in San Diego, but they definitely need to replace Keenan Allen on the offensive side of the ball. Where do you think the San Diego Chargers are going with this pick?
Well, a lot of people are scratching their head with what San Diego did this offseason. Mr. Chunky just let go of some players that were key parts of this offense. But when your offense is 17th in points scored and 21st in passing and 21st in rushing, maybe it's time to say, hey, man, we got a little stagnant, and let's bring in some new players and try to get some new blood and some new life. Bringing in Nick Doring, kind of a head-scratcher, but they still have Casein Singletary at wide receiver, and this guy is a straight beast. This wide receiver is a big wide receiver, 6'1", 208 pounds. He plays like he's 6'11". I mean, this guy can jump up and get the ball from anywhere. Big play receiver, and he got hurt and had a bit of a down year last year with only 37 receptions, 617 yards. I think they pair him up with Leonard Easley from Clemson, 5'11", 195. I think this is going to be very similar to what Philly did, but kind of the opposite, as they had Lavari Samuel over there, and they went and brought in a 6'1" rookie this year. I think that is exactly what San Diego is going to do this year. They're going to bring in their small guy to pair with their big guy, and they're going to have a nice little underneath deep combo that's going to really help Nick Doring if he is the starter. But I definitely expect them to go on the offensive end as they solidify their halfback spot with the speedy Nate Carter, who's going to be in a sophomore season this year. So the 9-7 San Diego Chargers, I definitely see them going wide receiver right now.
Let's see if they do indeed go wide receiver as the pick is into the commissioners. We await that one. Let me throw it over to Sonny Weaver. They bring in Nick Doring in the offseason. No more A.J. Stanton. You're a guy who've watched both these players play. Do you like the move bringing in Doring instead of re-signing Stanton?
Well, I think Doring was an interesting option. I'm not sure if they're still sold that he's going to be the quarterback of the future here. Watch for them maybe to make a move later in this draft for one of the quarterbacks, whether that's Bobo or Paulson. I think both will be in play, but right now I don't think that's the direction they're heading.
And I want to just point out real quick, before we announce this pick, the mystique of Nick Doring. Sonny, obviously when he was drafted middle of the first round. People are a little concerned if he had the throw power, if he had the ability to be successful in the MBL. I don't think he really got a chance in New England. Do you think he could have this success in San Diego if they do deem him to be the number one quarterback, playing with the wide receiver as talented as Casein Singletary?
Well, I think what you have to keep in mind is he's a left-handed quarterback, and a lot of people don't think about the kind of impact that has. You literally flip your whole side or your whole line. The left tackle is now the front side. The right tackle is now the blind side. You got to rework your whole kind of offensive strategy around that, and people undersell that. The way handoffs are taken, the way play actions are taken, it's a very tough thing to adjust to.
And
going to be very interesting in San Diego. So, yeah, let's get to the pick.
They do go wide receiver. They go with Easley. Bomber, you had it right on the nose, going wide receiver, looking to help out Nick Doring and the San Diego offense. Sonny, they get a speedy wide receiver out of Clemson. What do you think of this guy?
Well, what's interesting about that guy is he was kind of the last of that crew of wide receivers. You could maybe look to Weber. You could maybe go to Casein, but I felt like Easley was the guy that really, if you were looking for a top flight wide receiver, he's the last one here in the first round for you to go to. So while Chunky's looking to retool, obviously Keenan Allen's gone. They bring in Allen Hurns. I think they still wanted to get a little bit younger, and that's what they did here.
And let's go now to the number 19 overall pick, and that is the Chicago Bears, playing in that NFC North division that is so tough to win, and they lost a lot in the offseason. They also brought in somebody very interesting. No more Kyle Long, no more Roman Woodard, but Bomber, they bring in Aaron Rodgers. He's getting up there in age, but they think that he can help lead this offense. They definitely have a need, though, on the offensive side of the ball. They've had trouble protecting the quarterback, both because of an offensive line that has been a little weak, as well as no running game to speak of in Chicago. Where do you think the Chicago Bears should go with this number 19 pick?
Man, Sonny, I'm looking at these Chicago Bears, and I'm thinking to myself, there's a lot of holes here. Aaron Rodgers was a big and bold move, but if he doesn't have the protection, how good can he be? He came off a pretty stellar year in Washington, but he's going to be asked to do a lot more in Chicago, because this is a team that's got the number one defense and nearly a dead last offense. And if you think just throwing an arm under center is really going to fix the problem, you're sadly mistaken. This is a team that released Alshon Jeffrey this year. They don't really have the weapons at wide receiver as far as the talent-wise. And their offense, their running game just really wasn't there. They had Andre Spiller with 2.4 yards per carry, Jason Hayward 4.5 yards per carry. But a long story short, they're going to have to go offensive lineman to really sell me here. This was the 28th ranked passing team and the 25th ranked rushing team. So I'm looking at Brennan Barrett from Nebraska, 6'3", 300 and a bunch. This guy's big, he's fat, and he can put the pedal to the metal when he needs to be, and he can run downfield. He has the ability to move. So this is a lineman that's very intriguing right now that I think if you go lineman, they got to go with Brennan Barrett.
Big shout out to Bomber coming in here and helping us out with this draft. We appreciate him coming on as we await this pick. It's into the commissioner, and we see where the Chicago Bears are going with this number 19 pick, looking to compete in that NFC North. It is a tough division to compete in, and they're looking for a play that can help them out as the Chicago Bears definitely have a lot of holes, as Bomber mentioned. As a team looking to improve a lot. They already have a tough division to compete against, and they definitely need to help themselves by making the right pick here in the NBL rookie draft. As it looks like the pick is in, and they are going offensive line. It is the right guard, Barrett, going to Chicago, playing in the Windy City. Sonny Weaver, you've talked with the Chicago Bears and their management. They love this guy to help out in the trenches. What are they saying about Barrett, and what are they saying about the impact he can have?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm getting some chills right now because Bomber pick that I just gotten a text from the front office right before that pick that Barrett was their man. They saw him on the board. They wanted to grab him. They were excited that he fell. They know that they need to protect Aaron Rodgers, not as mobile as he used to be. He's going to have to sit in the pocket more than he ever has. And so in order for him to do that, they need to protect him.
Man, my phone isn't blowing up. I'm not getting any texts.
I beat this team down so bad. I know exactly what they needed. That was a smart pick, right guard. Barrett, a good pick for Chicago. I have received no texts from them. We hardly talk. We barely even schedule our games. That's the kind of rivalry we got going. But that was a good pick by them. And OSU, I'm sorry you feel a little left out. I'm not getting any either, though.
I just want some text messages. I don't. It doesn't even need to be from teams. I'll take friends, anybody. Just shoot me a text. Let me know you're out there. Hey,
somebody hashtag shoot OSU a text. Let's see it in the chat. Let's get it going.
Hashtag text OSU. Let's get it going. All right. Anyways, the Chicago Bears do go offensive line, and we get to the number 20 as we're winding down here in the draft. 12 picks to go. At number 20, it is the Tennessee Titans. And Bomber, this team lost a lot in the offseason. It is sort of a symptom of you get successful. These players want more money. You just can't afford to keep anybody. No more Jack Conklin. No more Lindell. No more Parnell McPhee. They really weren't a big player in free agency. Only bring in Pearson Latimer. They need a big linebacker. They have needs at cornerback. There's questions at quarterback as well. Bomber, there are a lot of holes on this team, a team that has been very successful in past years and really bringing themselves up. Where are the Titans going here at number 20?
Well, let's give a little recap of the Tennessee Titans in the last two seasons. MBL season 22, they were the AFC champion. They went to the Super Bowl. They did not win. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys. Season 23, they came back and have a subpar season. They finish at 10-6, and they lose their halfback, Derrick Henry. You said, did he get hurt? No, they just lost him. He was just averaging 3.4 yards per carry, and that wasn't enough. They bring in some no-name guy named Gerard Bowie, who comes out of nowhere. He's averaging 6.3 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns, 716 yards, only on 113 attempts. This guy's the real deal. They still have Gabe Williamson at wide receiver, so this team has a lot of options right now. But I'm looking at what's available. I like Jarrett Hayer at D tackle. I think they lost a lot on defense. This is a team that couldn't stop anybody. Against the pass, 29, they need a pass rusher. I'm looking at Wisconsin. I'm looking at the Badger. He kind of looked like J.J. Watt a little bit. Not a full J.J. Watt OSU, but he gave you signs of having that ability to really get in the quarterback's face and raise havoc on the offensive line. I like Jarrett Hayer from Wisconsin, defensive tackle, 6'7", 317 pounds. I think this guy is going to be their selection at pick number 20.
Let's see indeed where they go as the pick is into the commission. We awaited a lot of players from Wisconsin going in this first round of Big Ten powerhouse, sending the talented players to the MBL as we await the Tennessee Titans looking to improve in that AFC South. And we want to thank once again everybody for hanging out with us here in the Season 24 NBL Rookie Draft. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out with our NBL insider, Sonny Weaver, and the commissioner himself, Bomber, joining us on this broadcast. Big shout out to our producer, Delvar, behind the scenes, pulling the strings for us as we put on another great show. Again, head over to Twitter at Bomber League and give us a follow over there. That's where you can find the news and notes from around the NBL, as well as, of course, the schedule for our upcoming MBL Live. We're approaching broadcast number 100. Our first broadcast in this season will be broadcast number 85. So we're an old man. We're getting up there. And we've got a lot of great shows planned for you. As it looks like the pick is into the commissioner, and they do go defensive side of the ball. They go cornerback. It is Barlow going to the Tennessee Titans at number 20. Sonny Weaver, we thought there might be a run on cornerbacks and wide receivers, those skill positions coming. At number 20, the Titans are able to get that skill position, get that cornerback. What did the Titans think of this guy, and what do they think they can bring to Tennessee?
Well, really, what's interesting here is I did not expect that pick. I think it was more a pick of opportunity than it was the pick they intended to take. I was told before the draft that Tyrus Woodard was going to be the pick here if he fell. They called him the human splash play. Instead, they go to the cornerback I don't believe they thought would be there in Barlow, and I think they're happy there. Their secondary has gotten older here in the last couple seasons, and they're going to need a cornerback starting here soon. I think he starts in the slot to start the season, eventually working his way to the outside.
The human splash play, I like it. I feel like Sonny Weaver, that's got to be your favorite player, right?
I'm a fan of that nickname. We'll see if he lives up to it.
see indeed in Tennessee as they get their cornerback, and we go to the number 21 overall pick. And that's in the AFC East. It is the New York Jets. This is a team that has really been at the top of this division for the last couple seasons. Definitely in season 23 or in season 22, this was a division that was way down, much more competitive this year. The New York Jets able to come out of it on top. In the offseason, they did lose some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, namely Devin Smith, but they brought in Chris Meeks. They brought in James Hogans. They definitely still have a need on the offensive side of the ball at wide receiver and in the trenches. Bomber, the Jets looking to stay on top of a division that is becoming increasingly more competitive. Where do you think they're going here at number 21?
Well, I actually wanted to introduce to the world, the MBL network, my slogan for the AFC East. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah, of course.
It's where you can be at the top of the division, but still at the bottom of the league.
Oh,
the AFC East.
Delmar,
an 8-8 New York Jets team gets their back-to-back division titles. Big shout out to him. They did it with T.Y. Hilton. They did it with the guy that was 30 years old that the Colts didn't want anymore. He had 50 catches, 959 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Had one of their best productions at wide receiver for an individual in the last 5 seasons since Brandon Marshall retired. So I'm looking at the New York Jets right now. I see a team that definitely is in desperate need of wide receiver. They were 23rd in passing yards at 185 per clip. Gabriel Woodson under center. This guy's a stud. He can do a lot of things. He can play action. He could run. He can throw on the run. He can sit in the pocket and drill it. He has a lot of opportunity with this offensive line that they just brought in to have more time to make these big plays down the field. So when you're making big plays down the field, you need speed wide receivers. That's why they got to go with the 5'10", $171 soaking wet Grant Weber from Oklahoma. This speed wide receiver ran a 4.38 OSU, but I'm really high on him because he can get down the field. And like I said with Gabriel Woodson, one of the top cannons in the MBL, he can get the ball down the field, and that's what they're going to need. T.Y. Hilton, 31 years old. He's not going to be able to get over top like he was a couple years ago, not even like he was last year. So they're going to bring in Grant Weber, I believe, and this guy's going to be their number 2 wide receiver, and I think he has big potential in this offense.
As the pick is in, and we will wait to see where the New York Jets go. Interesting side note, we heard that he runs a 4.38 40. Oddly enough, I run a 43.8 40. It's not quite as fast, but if any NBL teams want to sign me up, I've got some blazing speed. As the pick is in, and they do go wide receiver, it is Casein going to the New York Jets.
He's a second-round talent.
Yeah,
I had him going in the second round.
A lot of teams had him as a second-round talent, maybe a little bit of reach here. Sonny Weaver, we know that New York Jets needed help at wide receiver. Was this a moment where the Jets took a guy who might have been farther down on the draft board, but took him because they knew he wouldn't be there in the second round, or do they really think he's a first-round talent?
Well, I think they had some other options, or if they had some other options, they would have went with those other options. I know coming in, they wanted wide receiver bad. Cornerback was also in play, but obviously at this point, cornerbacks are all gone off the board with first-round grades. Wide receiver, they had slim pickings right now. We're getting in the area where a lot of people want wide receivers. There's simply just not a whole lot left. The Jets said coming in, they had 2 picks here in the 20s. They were going to get 1 wide receiver, and here we go with Casein right off the top.
Interesting pick, of course, for the New York Jets, looking to get that wide receiver playmaker. As we head to pick number 22, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Sonny Weaver's team over there. We're not going to talk to him because I think he knows who he's going to take. Let's throw it over to Bomber. This is a Bengals team. Lost a lot of big names in the offseason. Fontazi Burfict is no longer there.
They also lost to Pittsburgh a lot.
They did lose to Pittsburgh a lot, and they also left in the first round. For everybody out there keeping track at home, another first-round exit for the Cincinnati Bengals. Shout out to Sonny Weaver. They brought in a lot of guys in the offseason, though. Brandon Marshall coming to Cincinnati. Stephon Gilmore coming to Cincinnati. Marquise Buggs coming to Cincinnati. We know the Bengals love to hit on these draft picks, though. They have a big need at quarterback. They have a big need at wide receiver. Let's pick the brain of Sonny Weaver. Bomber, where do you think Mr. Weaver is going with this pick?
Okay, I couldn't even begin to start trying to tell you where Sonny Weaver's going to go with his pick, but I can't. I can start to break down this. Brandon Marshall, 31 years old. He does not have many years left. They just got rid of Vontaze Burfict, kind of a similar situation. Maybe they think Brandon Marshall plays another year or two. I really like the middle linebacker from USC, Shundrez Hampton, 6 foot, 238 pounds, tackling machine, led his team in tackles for the last 2 seasons. This guy has big play potential, and he can get to the ball and pursue, and that's exactly what they need to stop these Pittsburgh Steelers is linebackers that can track the ball. I definitely like that pick. I think that's where they should go. Now, where they will go, I don't know. I also look at offensive line. They have some holes at offensive line. They could get better. A couple aging linemen on their team, especially at right guard. Definitely could be a replacement coming up soon, but I just don't see the talent and depth in offensive line right now. I do like Dallas Levine from Clemson, and I also like Patrick Payton from Clemson. These two guys, man, Clemson had the #1 offensive line in college football coming out this year, so that's definitely a potential that they could go there and move a couple pieces around and fulfill this offensive line that they definitely will need to protect when you got Jared Goff under center.
Let's see where the Bengals go as the pick is into the commissioner. Fun fact for all of you out there running that pick up to the commissioner, it's who Sonny calls the mini Weaver, dressed just up like Sonny. I know Sonny's looking for a protege. He wants that kid to come work for him in Cincinnati as we await to see where the Cincinnati Bengals go at number 22. Looking to compete in that AFC North. While we have a quick second, want to give a big shout out, of course, to our graphic sponsor, Web3KS.com. They're also our pregame sponsor throughout the year. They do a ton of graphics for us, our overlays.
Oh, wow.
And of course, they're super affordable. So a big shout out to Web3KS.com, the leaders in affordable graphic design. The Bengals do go offensive line. They go with the left guard. Let's bring in Sonny Weaver. Sonny, you've been in the ear of ownership because you are ownership. What do you like about this guy, and what is he going to bring to Cincinnati?
Well, what we felt like with Peyton was we've got, like Bomber had mentioned, an aging Kevin Zeitler out there on right guard. I think Peyton comes in right away. He's going to compete. We're not sure where exactly yet. Dallas Zumwalt did an admirable job last year, but gave up 4 sacks in the passing game. I'm not sure he's equipped to be a left guard, maybe more of a right tackle, something we'll have to look at down the line. But I think Peyton has a chance to be carried as our swing kind of offensive lineman this year, and we'll plug him in where he fits.
Here's the real question. I know everybody is wondering, Sonny, will this guard help you get out of the first round of the playoffs?
You know what? If the guard, as Doughboy would say, guard, if that guard can get us out of the first rounds, we'll take it.
There we go. The pick is to the Cincinnati Bengals going offensive line. Let's go to pick. The next pick, it is the Philadelphia Eagles, their second pick of the first round. Lots of teams picking twice here in the MBL. They went at number 11, Bomber, and maybe got the steal of the draft at Crockett, the wide receiver. So talented out of Wisconsin, coming to Philadelphia. And they have yet another pick down here at number 23. Where do you think the Philadelphia Eagles should go? An opportunity to hit yet again here in the MBL rookie draft.
There's a lot of options for Philly right now. They got the wide receiver that they wanted. So now we're going to be looking on the defensive side of the ball where the team was very good against the pass. Only gave up 17 points per game. That puts them 10th. But they could not stop the run. So I'm looking at this team, probably looking on the defensive line somewhere. They obviously have some aging players. Cameron Jordan playing left end for the Philadelphia Eagles. Fletcher Cox is 30. Tyrone Crawford is 31 at defensive tackle, and they have Robert Quinn at 31. So either you have to be 31 or older to play defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, or they're going to be looking to get a little bit younger in this draft, and that's why I'm going to go back to the guy from Wisconsin, Jarrett Hayer. I really like him, 6'7", 317. I compared him to a little bit of a baby J.J. Watt. He played for Wisconsin. It looks like he watched a lot of film on J.J. Watt. They have very similar styles and similar production. They were sack masters, and they really clogged up the running game, and I think that's what really can help this Philadelphia Eagle team if they can stop the run. They were 31st against the run last season. So I would see them going defensive tackle Jarrett Hayer as their best player available and the best pick for their team right now.
Let's see where the Eagles do go as the pick is in, and we await the announcement. Sonny, the Philadelphia Eagles, they play in that just brutal NFC East division, but they have 2 picks here in the MBL rookie draft. How close is this Eagles team to maybe challenging for the division title? Is this a team that's really close, maybe 1 or 2 players away, or is this a team that might need a couple years?
Well, they're definitely close, but the question is, can they stop the run? The NFC East is full of running teams. You've got Purnell in New York. You've got the bevy of backs in Washington. And then you've got Zeke Elliott down in Dallas. So really what you got to do if you're going to be Philadelphia is you got to learn to stop the run. And right now, 31st is just not going to cut it. I think they need to plug the middle.
Ladarius Purnell and Zeke Elliott in the same division. Folks, thank your lucky stars that your team doesn't have to deal with that, as that is quite a running back duo in the NFC East as we await this Philadelphia Eagles pick coming in. We want to thank everyone once again for joining us here on the MBL Season 24 Rookie Draft. And we want to remind everyone, again, go over to Twitter, follow at Bomber League, because we want to make sure you get that MBL live schedule when it comes out next week. We're going to have a ton of games on this year. We put on some great shows. If you're stuck with us through the playoffs, we had our championship doubleheader as well as our Super Bowl show. And then we put on games throughout the season, so you don't want to miss that. At Bomber League on Twitter. The pick is in, and they do go middle. They go with the middle linebacker, Hampton. Sonny, you said they need to stop the run. This is a guy who hits hard, and he is great in run support. What are you hearing out of Philadelphia? How happy are they with getting this guy?
Well, I think there were two options for him to stop the run, obviously on the front level with defensive tackle or the next level middle linebacker. They get that in Hampton. I think he's going to be a very good run stopper from day one. The coaching staff felt like he could plug the hole and provide run support. There's some questions on if or not he's going to be able to cover down the back stretch, and that's where we're really going to find out a lot. Can you cover the tight ends? And can you cover the deep center field? That's something the coaching staff's not sure, but they're going to give them a chance to figure it out.
Shoring up the defense, the big objective for the Philadelphia Eagles, they go defense with their second pick, and they got two great players here in the first round of the Season 24 Rookie Draft. Let's stay in the NFC East. Let's go to the Dallas Cowboys at number 24. Dallas Cowboys, a lot of ownership turmoil, Bomber. They've gone through a couple owners now looking to solidify not only their team, but their ownership. They lost Deion Wilkerson. They lost Wyatt Purcell. They lost Isaac Pepper, some nice players. The only really player they brought in was Patrick DeMarco. They have needs on the defensive line. They also have needs at playmaker, at wide receiver. We've seen a lot of wide receivers go off the board already. Do you see the Cowboys maybe reaching for a wide receiver here? Or you see them maybe staying smart and going defensive line?
You know, when everybody looks at the Dallas Cowboys right now, they think wide receiver immediately, but they got Rashad Rankin and DJ Chapman, who they are very comfortable with. And 6'5", he has all the tools needed to go up and high point a ball. Rashad Rankin is surprisingly somewhat athletic. He's more athletic than many thought coming out of college, and he can really get open in one-on-one coverage. Then they also have the speedy Cedric LaShore coming underneath. He is 27, turning 28 next year. He's 5'8". He's their smaller wide receiver. They could go wide receiver here at Grant Weber, but I think that they should go Jarrett Hayer, the defensive tackle that I keep comparing to J.J. Watt, that nobody seems to be listening to because he's still on the board. That's definitely a player that I think should be gone by now, and I think Dallas with defensive tackle Muhammad Wilkerson at 31 years old, they're going to be running a 4-3. They only have another defensive tackle, Malik Collins. He's 26. He's not really going to get it done. I think they got to go D-tackle, and I think Jarrett Hayer is probably the answer for the Dallas Cowboys. I'd be surprised if they go offensive line, because we all know why. They got the number one offensive line in the MBL. So defensive line or wide receiver, probably the take for a first-round pick in MBL Season 24 Rookie Draft.
Bomber calling for the player to be Hayer for the Dallas Cowboys, coming out at number 24 as the pick is into the commissioners. We await the announcement. This is a Dallas Cowboys team that there's no shortage of talent on. As Bomber mentioned, this is the number one offensive line in the MBL, and to put it all together, they also have Zeke Elliott in the backfield. Certainly a tough offense to deal with. And then on top of all that, they've got a pretty darn solid defense as we await the pick coming in.
There it goes. As
the pick is in, and Bomber, your guys off the board. It is Hayer. It is the defensive tackle coming out of Wisconsin, comparing him to J.J. Watt, Sonny Weaver. This is a big guy in the middle of that defense for the Dallas Cowboys. They definitely wanted to shore up the defensive line. What are you hearing out of Dallas? Is this the guy who they knew that they wanted all along?
It looks like Sonny's gone. Sonny's on mute right now. Dallas did need a defensive tackle. They did need a defensive lineman. So I think Hayer was the guy that they were looking for. I don't have any insider information to back this up.
Not at all. So not at all. The pick actually was supposed to be Irvin Wynn. I was told that basically for the last 20 minutes that Irvin Wynn, the tight end, was going to be the pick at defensive tackle. You literally just had this front office in the war room. You sat him down, Bomber, and you sold him on Hayer. Right there in front of everybody, you moved that pick from a tight end, Irvin Wynn, to the defensive tackle Hayer.
Wait, Sonny, are you saying that you have talked to the Dallas Cowboys and our own Bomber had an influence on who they took at number 24?
Yes, literally while they were on the clock, that sell job by Bomber changed the destiny of this franchise, and it'll be something to watch throughout the years.
Are you proud of yourself, Bomber, changing the way that people are drafting here in the season 24 rookie draft?
Well, they don't call me the most influential man in the MBL for nothing. Obviously, it rings true right here at pick number 24. I think they're going to be really happy with the development of Hayer. I think this guy's going to be a big-time player on the defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, so Sonny Weaver, here's the real question. If this guy doesn't pan out, if the Dallas Cowboys defense is not as good as they think it is the blame then on Bomber, or is it on the Dallas Cowboys for listening to him?
Well, anybody that can get sold in under 2 minutes to change their entire draft strategy is the sole responsible person to blame in this.
All right, well, let's move on from the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to another familiar face we've already seen here in the rookie draft. It is the New York Jets at number 25. They had a pick at number 21. They went with wide receiver. Bomber, this is a team that had a need at wide receiver. They went out and got a wide receiver, maybe not the one that they wanted, but one they felt that was good enough to use the number 21 pick on. Where do you think they're going at number 25?
Well, the guy I thought they were going at number 20 is still there, so I'm going to put him back on the board. I know this New York Jets team was a team that was interested in going back-to-back wide receiver. They saw a couple teams do it in the last couple years, and they saw it really pay high dividends for them. This wasn't necessarily a really deep wide receiver draft, but the New York Jets are desperate, as you saw by their last pick, and they're going to pick a wide receiver regardless. And I think they do go with Weber. I think that this guy will really pan out for them. I know they don't like the idea of playing another small wide receiver next to T.Y. Hilton, but Hilton's only got, let's be honest, maybe 1, maybe 2 seasons left, and it's not going to be the T.Y. Hilton of old. It's going to be the old T.Y. Hilton. So I think they go with Grant Weber or Grant Weber or however you pronounce it. I think that wide receiver will be a great selection for the New York Jets at 25.
As the pick is into the commissioner, we await the announcement. Let me throw it over to Sonny Weaver, going back to the Dallas Cowboys story, being influenced by our very own Bomber. Do you expect the MBL to maybe move to some sort of rules where they're not allowed to listen to the draft while drafting? Because it seems like that's a pretty influential position.
You know what? I'm not sure many in the draft could be influenced by just somebody talking on the broadcast, but you never know. Some people are just weak-minded.
Hey, Sonny, I just want to let you know the pick is in, and the Jets went with Weber at 25. The man who Bomber was saying the Jets would pick. Is that surprising that they went with another Bomber pick? Were the Jets influenced by Bomber, or were they maybe just thinking on their own and maybe just thinking similar to our very own commissioner?
I can confirm the Jets were not influenced by Bomber. The plan all along was to double up on wide receiver if a cornerback was not available. When Barlow went off the board, that basically made it a moot point other than wide receiver. They were happy to see the wide receiver they just took still on the board, and so they're happy to double up there. And we'll see how those two work out together going forward.
As we look ahead now to pick number 26, it is the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, they had some loss in the offseason. Big names, Greg Robinson, Prince Amukamara, no longer there. They brought in, though, Trey Mason, a former Ram coming back. They brought in Mike Daniels. There's needs on the offensive line for the Rams. Let's throw it out to our very own soothsayer, Bomber. Bomber, look into your crystal ball. Let's look into your tarot cards. However you're getting this information, where do you think the Rams are going at number 26?
All right, so the Rams got Russell Wilson last year. He was the quarterback that they needed. They got Russell the love muscle, 3,300 yards, 22 touchdowns, QBR over 100, played a phenomenal season for the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, they were 16th in passing yards, but their efficiency passing led them to 8th in points per game. So this team really stepped up their offense. They finished 11-5, back on top of the NFC West. What is this team missing? I'm looking at it. I see Tavon Austin, Demaryius Thomas. I'd say wide receiver, but I don't think best player available really shows be a wide receiver. This is a team defensively that was top 5 in points, top 7 in rushing, top 10 team against the pass. This team has everything defensively. Passing is where they really need to improve yards-wise. So I think they might go wide receiver, but I just don't see it being there. Maybe they go offensive line. Dallas Levine from Clemson. He's a great pass blocker. Might give Russell Wilson a little bit of time, as we saw them completely fall apart in the divisional round of the playoffs versus the Detroit Lions. Maybe they think if they can give Russell a little bit more time in the pocket, he can get a little bit more done. I mean, they still have a great receiving core with Wesley Britton and Tavon Austin. Austin is getting a little older, but they got the tight end Crockett Gilmore to kind of offset a little bit underneath for him. So a lot of things going on in Rams. I think they go best player available, and I'd say that's Dallas Levine, Clemson, right tackle.
We'll see if the Rams do go with that as the pick is into the commissioner. We'll see if we're going to have to start investigating Bomber, break into his house, see what he's got going on, as he has been on point so far here in the season 24 MBL rookie draft. The Los Angeles Rams picking here at number 26. Again, we will be bringing you the entire first round here in the MBL with pick-by-pick analysis. So we appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us, sticking through the first round here of this draft. As the pick is in, and they go tight end, they go with Win. The tight end looking to help out on the offensive side of the ball. This is a guy who many have said is very versatile. He can go out and catch the ball. He can block in the running game. Sonny, is this a guy they're looking at as more of an offensive weapon, or is this a guy who they're looking at as more of a sixth offensive lineman that can help out that running game with Todd Gurley?
No, in a draft that has been dominated really throughout this tight end class with blocking tight ends, Irvin Wynn is one of the only pass-catching tight ends in this draft out of Colorado. He had the best 40 of all tight ends in the class. I was on the phone with St. Louis just a couple minutes ago, or excuse me, LA now I should say. And they were
don't call St. Louis. You're not going to get anybody, Sonny.
Exactly. They thought Wynn was going to go to Dallas in that pick, 2 picks before. Instead, they get Wynn here, and they're excited. They wanted a wide receiver. All went off the board. Next best thing was to get a tight end to be an offensive weapon. They got their tight end. They got the best tight end in the class.
Number 27 coming up, we have the Chargers out of San Diego, their second pick here in the NBL rookie draft. Bomber, they went with the wide receiver Easley earlier in the round. Definitely going to help out that offensive game for the San Diego Chargers looking to compete in the AFC West. They have the second pick here. They do have some holes left over. Where do you think the San Diego Chargers are going at number 27?
All right, so last year the San Diego Chargers went with Matt Sanchez, left tackle. He performed very well for them. They have 2 picks in this NBL season 24 draft. They went 9-7 last year. They had a couple games slip by them. They really feel that they were an 11-5 team that just kind of made a couple mistakes down the stretch. So this team really believes maybe they revamp with Nick Doring and they can really get some things going. That's why I say Dallas Levine is in play for them at offensive lineman, because this guy can help shore up that center position. He can play center, and this is where they really struggled blocking in the center of that offensive line. I think they potentially go offensive line and go with Dallas Levine.
Let's see where they do go as the pick is into the commissioner. We see where the Chargers are going at number 27. This is a Chargers team much improved from past years. We remember them on top under former owner Prince. Mr. Chunky has taken over this team and has a lot of confidence in this team, a lot of confidence in the direction the franchise is going with the talent they have drafted in the past. And with new quarterback Nick Doring under center, they feel like they might have the right pieces to make a run at not only a playoff spot, but an AFC West title as we await the announcement of the San Diego Chargers pick at number 27. Not a lot to go here in the first round of our broadcast. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Once again, I am OSU. I'm hanging out with my 2 experts, our NBL insider, Sonny Weaver, and the commissioner himself, Mr. Soothsayer, the fortune teller Bomber, making all the right calls.
I was going to say why I wasn't an expert, but you went above and beyond with
because we think you're using black magic, Bomber. We'll be honest. It's not expertise, it's black magic that you're using. As at number 27.
Oh, wow.
They go quarterback. They go Paulson. So maybe not a lot of confidence in Nick Doring. They go for the quarterback here. Sonny, let's bring you in. First of all, what are the Chargers thinking with this pick? But also, a lot of people looking at this quarterback draft class said it's one of the weaker ones. We've seen some deep ones in the past, but this one is incredibly weak. A lot of teams seeing only second-round talents out there. Was this a reach for San Diego, just filling a need?
No, so I've talked to the Chargers over the last 24 hours, and the plan all along was to get a quarterback in the first round. They actually like to chance it a little bit. They were going to go with one at 18. They liked instead who they found there. I believe that was the wide receiver Easley. So instead, they hold off, risk it, get to 27, and they still get their man Paulson. They felt like he could have been a first rounder. He came out of that Alabama system. They feel like he's ready to play right now. Him and Doran will compete for the starting job day one.
quarterback
That's just a pretty
competition.
That's a pretty expensive backup quarterback, Nick Doring. Was Nick Doring in on this? A 3 years, $30 million contract.
That's a lot.
They give him with $6 million signing bonus, and you're telling me that now he's competing for a job in Los Angeles.
That is what I'm telling you. They felt like they needed to go out and get somebody that was going to be able to compete right now with Doring. A lot of Doring's issues they feel like may be correctable, but they didn't want to bank their whole franchise on that, and so they basically came in with a plan B.
An interesting move nonetheless. We'll see how this quarterback competition goes about. A lot of people, they saw how much, including myself, saw how much they paid for Nick Doring, sort of assumed he was going to be the starter. We'll see what Doring thinks about his team that he just signed a big contract with, drafting a quarterback in the first round, reaching for one nonetheless. The Chargers going quarterback at number 27. And let's move to number 28. It is the Houston Texans. And first of all, what a year for the Houston Texans. 14-2, running roughshod all over the AFC South. But there's no more J.J. Watt, a staple in Houston. It's going to be weird seeing him in different colors, not seeing him in Houston. They brought in some nice players. Nick Beekman, a nice player they brought in. But really, the big news is J.J. Watt. They need help on the defensive side, bomber, middle linebacker, safety, possibly defensive end even with no more J.J. Watt. What do you think Houston's going to do with this pick?
Well, let's talk about Houston. They finished 14-2, the number one seed in the AFC last year, only to go against the Oakland Raiders, who were a wild card. I believe they were a wild card. They came in there and they just stomped the Houston Texans on their home field. They were one and done. The Texans lost in the divisional round, and they kicked rocks the rest of the playoffs, and now they don't have J.J. Watt. So really interesting to see the developments going on in Houston. Now they lose J.J. Watt. They bring in safety Nick Beekman from the Detroit Lions, quality safety. So they're not probably going to go safety, but you're looking at defensive line somewhere, and you just don't see much defensive ends that have much value right now. As I scroll down the list, I'm stuck looking at Ladarius Neshke, Iowa State left end, 6'5", 242 pounds. I don't know if he has the size to play that 3-4 that the Houston Texans love to play. Probably more of an outside linebacker. But I'm looking at this, and I'm really just perplexed on where Houston would go. Maybe Sonny Weaver could have a little bit more insight. My black magic seems to be running a little stale.
Those tarot cards need to be shuffled up. We'll see where the Houston Texans go as the pick is into the commissioner. We await that announcement. Sonny, let's get your input here. Where do you think the Texans, 14-2, it seems like improvement is maybe they're making a run towards the Super Bowl. Where do you think the Texans should go with this pick?
Well, I will tell you that the Texans desperately tried to trade up to get in a position to take one of the cornerbacks, the number 19 pass defense. They felt like their defense was good. They wanted to put it over the top. They could not pull it off. They felt like middle linebacker was a need. They couldn't pull it off. One thing they did mention was safety, so we'll see where they go.
And Sonny Weaver pulling out his black magic. It is safety. It is Woodard, the strong safety, going to Houston. Sonny, I assume this is more from your conversations and not from your crystal ball. What do the Houston Texans like about this kid?
Well, they liked his speed. He ran one of the better 40-yard dashes for all safeties. They felt like he's a big-time run supporter. He can still cover the back, and he's got makeup speed. But really what he does is he comes up and he lays the boom on running back, something they really value in Houston.
Here's my question moving forward. The Texans obviously were in a trade with the Patriots. We saw it on Bleacher Report. They were trying to move up to 15. Sonny, they stayed at 28. They didn't have to give up anything in the future. Are they happy with this pick now that Woodard fell to them?
I think Woodard is a nice consolation prize. We talked about him at 20 for the Titans. Titans passed on him, went with the wide receiver instead. They went with the cornerback instead. Interestingly enough, that cornerback easily could have ended up here at 28, and I'm not sure the Texans would have been happy with what ended up becoming of that. So really, they stay at 28. They get a good player. The Texans have to be happy about that pick.
Always interesting to look at these teams who are looking to wheel and deal and move up in the draft, and those teams that don't, see who they end up with and see if they turn out well. We'll see if Woodard can help out the Houston Texans. Let's go to pick number 29, and it's the AFC West. It is the Kansas City Chiefs. What a year for Kansas City. New owner Timbo took over in the middle of season 22. A tough team to take over. They were sort of in a downward spiral. and Timbo able to take them to the playoffs. They have lost some interesting names. D Ford, Dontari Poe, Eric Fisher, no longer there. Guys you just sort of think of as Kansas City Chiefs. They brought in, I think my favorite name, Quadarius Booth. What a name. They're bringing him in, but they have needs. Of course, at wide receiver, they want to shore up that offense, find him a weapon. Is there a wide receiver out there, Bomber, that the Kansas City Chiefs are looking at taking, or do they maybe go defensive side of the ball and go into the trenches?
Oh, man, Kansas City has needed a solid number one wide receiver for many seasons now. Many have wondered it. Carrington Warner had a big year last year, 42 catches, 709 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But when I'm looking at this Kansas City team, I just can't stop thinking about how this team won. This is the division winning, the AFC West division champion Kansas City Chiefs, owned by Timbo. They finished 12-4, and they were like one play away from going to MBL season 23
Whoa.
Super Bowl. That game versus the Raiders. If you did not check that out, go to our archives, MBL Live. Game of the year. It won Game of the Year, correct, right? For season 23? Yeah. So that one Game of the Year. I mean, it was just a phenomenal game. At the end, it looked like one guy was going to throw it away to the other guy, and he threw it back. Then he got to the 1 yard line, and you just got to go watch it. It's on our MBL Live play-by-play broadcast archives, where you can see the conference championship between the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. But I digress. I'm looking at the team now. I'm seeing what's available. And if I'm going to go best player available, I'm probably going to look at somebody like an offensive lineman named Dallas Levine. I've been praising him and preaching him for the last, 10 picks, 6'5", 307 pounds. The guy can do a lot of things, man. Not the strongest lineman, but the smartest and the best lineman available right now. I think Dallas Levine can help shore up this passing attack that finished 27th. When you got a quarterback as talented as TM3, Trey McIntyre, you need to finish in the top 10 yards-wise, and you need an offensive line that's going to give him some protection, and I think that's what this Clemson offensive lineman can do. Dallas Levine, I think that would be a smart pick for Kansas City.
Let's see where the Chiefs do go at number 29 as we await the announcement of the pick. The Chiefs, what a game, by the way. We'll get back to the Chiefs pick, but if you want to check out just a great game, that was our NBA Live Season 23 Game of the Year winner.
Who called that?
That would be myself and, of course, our MBL insider, Sonny Weaver. What a game it was.
The AME award-winning Sonny Weaver.
The award-winning Sonny Weaver, our Achievement in Media Excellence Award winner. We have an award-winning. Everybody, I would like to point out, everybody on that particular panel, myself, Delvar, and Sonny, all AME award winners. That was an award-winning staff, and it was a great game. You're going to want to check that out on the MBL.
That's probably why it was so good.
That's obviously. You're going to want to check that out in the MBL YouTube channel as they do go defensive tackle. Interesting pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. They go down in the trenches. They're looking for that big guy to fill up and help stop the run in the AFC West. Sonny Weaver, what are you hearing out of Kansas City? What about this pick?
Rashad Boharness was the guy from jump. They actually were on the phone with him about 5 picks ago, letting him know that if he made it to pick number 29, his fall would be over. He could put his night away. He could tell everybody to go home because he was going to be a Kansas City Chief. They were so excited when Woodard got off the board there. They were on the clock. They called Boharness up right away, let him know he was the pick. And really, this was a match made in heaven from the start. They really like what this kid brings.
We'll see if he can help get the Kansas City Chiefs over that hump and into the Super Bowl. They're definitely going to be looking to get back to the AFC Championship game. All right, we've got 3 picks left, but only 2 teams because it is the Indianapolis Colts with back-to-back picks at number 30 and 31. Bomber, this is a team that has a lot of needs, a team that has struggled in years past in the AFC South. They're looking to compete every year, and they have 2 picks here at the end of the first round. No more Dante Moncrief, no more Kiko Alonso. They brought in Phillip Gaines, but they still have that need for that number 1 wide receiver. They still have a need for a pass-stopping cornerback. Not a lot of skill position players still on the board for some of these teams. Where do you think Indianapolis is going here at number 30?
The Indianapolis Colts, owned by Pricey, our resident granny. I can't say that. Pricey has a lot of holes. He's got a lot of holes, and they all begin at offensive line. If you can't protect Andrew Luck, you will be nothing in the MBL. He finished 29th in yards as an offense, 20th at 17 points per game. But you're looking at this team on both sides of the ball, so many holes. I actually like safety position for them. I know that they have holes at free safety right now, strong safety. They're comfortable with Brandon Westerman, but I'm just not completely sold on them. I like guys like Travion Groom. I like Nick Bryan. I also like Denard Clifton at free safety from Michigan State. I watched the Spartans play a lot last season, and I think they really had a strong defense, and he looked like he could fit right into an MBL-style defense at the professional level immediately, almost day one. But if they're going to go offensive line, I say they got to go Dallas Levine. There's also Wade Curran from Ole Miss out there at right tackle. These are all opportunities for him. And also Phillip Jack from Florida, the left guard run blocker that they might look to because they're really trying to establish the run this season. They got Rashawn Kidd and Giovanni Bernard. A little two-headed monster at halfback. So this is a team that really needs to establish themselves, and they have to do it in the trenches first.
Let's see where the Colts do go here at number 30, as they also have the number 31 overall pick. Again, we'll be taking you to that number 32 overall pick. We appreciate everyone who has stuck with us through this broadcast. We've had pick-by-pick analysis throughout the first round, and we appreciate all of you out there in the chat hanging out with us. And again, we hope to see you on our MBL live games coming up. We got a great schedule getting put together. It'll be released next week on the Twitter at Bomber League as we await the Indianapolis Colts. Let's bring in Sonny Weaver, our MBL insider. Sonny, this Indianapolis Colts team, I've asked this about other teams in the past. This Indianapolis Colts team, a team that's sort of been near the bottom, definitely want to get up as the pick is in. They do go offensive line. They take Delome, the right guard. An interesting pick, shoring up the line. But Sonny, the question I was going to ask you is how close is this Indianapolis Colts to competing in the AFC South?
I believe they're a long way away, unfortunately. The Titans have really taken it to another level recently. They seem to be a very tough competitor and one that's going to challenge the Texans, I believe, here soon. The problem, as Bomber alluded to, is they can't protect Andrew Luck. He's getting sacked at a rate that's not sustainable. Somehow the guy hasn't gotten hurt, but you got to feel it's coming soon. So they try to solidify that with Delome. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another offensive lineman, but one thing to note, they told me they felt like they had to come away at pick 30 or 31 with a cornerback. So don't be surprised here if you see a little bit of a reach to bring a cornerback here.
They go with the guard, shoring up that offensive line as we now await the number 31 overall pick from the Indianapolis Colts. Back-to-back picks for the Colts, looking to fill a lot of holes on this team. They definitely want to shore up not only the trenches, but give Andrew Luck some weapons, get that running game going. Again, this is a team that's been near the bottom of the NFC South, but this is a team that definitely wants to compete, and it can help when you have two picks. Even though they're at the end of the first round, 2 first-round picks are definitely needed as the pick is in at number 31, and they go defensive line. They go with the right end, Hayer, looking to shore up that defense, Sonny. Again, the Colts, a lot of problems on the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive side of the ball hasn't been much better. What do the Colts like about this kid on the defensive line?
Well, the defense hasn't been that much better, but it has been productive. One thing they do well is they rush, or they have a positive rush defense, 11th in the league, but their passing defense not very good. They feel like this pick here at right end, Hayer, can help with the pass rush, can get to the quarterback, and maybe take some pressure off their cornerbacks on the outside.
And now we get to the final pick here of the MBL Season 24 Rookie Draft first round, the final pick of our broadcast. It is the Atlanta Falcons at 32, defending Super Bowl champions. New owner, Serpent, coming in because one and only rode off into the sunset with that championship. What a way to go out. Bomber, where do you think the Falcons are going with this last pick of the first round?
Well, this is the MBL Season 23 Super Bowl champion Atlanta Falcons, a team that really many didn't predict to win an MBL Super Bowl, and I think they're probably going to go offensive line, maybe go after Jack, or maybe they're going to go for somebody like the guy I've been mentioning, Dallas Levine, for the last 10 picks. Obviously, his strength is an issue to go in the first round, but maybe they go left guard Jack. That definitely could be an option for the Atlanta Falcons, as going offensive line when you have everything else is always a great choice to develop those offensive linemen and be able to protect a quarterback like Blake Bortles.
As the pick is in and they go with the offensive line, they go the left guard, Jack, looking to help Blake Bortles and that running game with Devontae Freeman, Sonny, the defending Super Bowl champions. They go in the trenches, something that we saw in the Super Bowl, how good that they were able to protect Blake Bortles. He had such a great game. What does this guy bring to the trenches in Atlanta?
Well, it brings an instant upgrade at guard. They think he could possibly play center too. He's a very versatile guard. I know when we were talking before the draft, they felt like he would be their pick at 32. They were hoping a defensive tackle would possibly fall to him. Didn't quite happen, so they go with their guard, Jack, and they're actually very happy with this pick.
And that is all we have for you. That is all of our pick-by-pick analysis here. The first round, we went through all 32 picks. And let's put a little bow on this broadcast. Let's first ask our commissioner, Bomber. Bomber, what a draft. Always a fun time here in the MBL. We appreciate everyone tuning in for us. Give me one team that you think might have been a winner, maybe a loser, somebody who you think was either on the top end or the bottom end of this draft.
Okay, so obviously I stated earlier the Broncos and the Seahawks are my two winners of this draft. Tafoya Bacon and Virgil at wide receiver for Seattle, but the Broncos take the cake. Cornerback McKay and middle linebacker Tafoya, who I think is the best overall defensive player in this entire draft. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler potentially year one. So Broncos are going to be my winner. Now, loser of the draft, I'm probably going to have to go Miami Dolphins. Cuba, I constantly question what he's doing over there. He had some issues during free agency, some questionable signings that he had, along with some draft picks this year. Really wasn't sold on Bingham at free safety. So Cuba are the draft loser of round 1 NBL season 24.
And Sonny Weaver, let's bring you in one last time. A lot of teams having 2 picks here in the first round, so that meant there were a lot of teams who didn't have a first-round pick. Do you think the teams that have multiple first-round picks won this draft, or do you think this draft maybe wasn't deep enough, and so those teams that traded out might not be getting punished?
Well, I think the guys that had the multiple first-round picks, obviously, when Bomber talked about the Broncos having 2 very good defensive picks in McKay and Tafoya, I really liked Bacon. I think Bacon may.
We all like Bacon, Sonny.
Yeah,
who doesn't? Like
I think he may end up being the best player out of this draft, and obviously Virgil gives him a weapon on the outside. And really, when we look at losers, to me, it's got to be the New England Patriots at 15. Not real sure what they were doing there. They already had a halfback. They take another halfback way too early. No clue what the plan in New England is.
What a broadcast, folks. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in to our MBL Rookie Draft Season 24. Again, head over to our Twitter. That is at Bomber League. That's where you can get our MBL live schedule coming up. We got a lot of great games coming up. We're working towards broadcast number 100. But let's get out of here, folks. You've heard us talk long enough at Rookie Draft. What a great show. For our contributors on this show, of course, our NBL insider, Sonny Weaver, the commissioner himself, Bomber, and, of course, our draft expert, Doughboy. Big shout-out to our producer, Delvar, behind the scenes. I'm your host, OSU. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on NBL Live.